Imagine a time when love was your guiding force, when your heart beat in harmony with the stars, and your presence on earth was not by chance, but by choice. What if love was a bridge between worlds? What if you had once walked among the stars, carrying a mission to bring love where it had been forgotten? Now, this is not just a story. It is a remembrance, a thread woven through time and space, waiting to be pulled, waiting to be felt. Hello, my friend. Welcome to Starseed and Human, where the infinite wisdom of the cosmos meets the raw, transformative journey of being human. Subscribe, download each episode, and share these cosmic messages with others walking their unique path of remembrance. Together we are connecting realms, illuminating paths, realizing infinity. Welcome to Starseed and Human. I am Miroslava, your host, agent of infinity, and weaver of stories. In today's episode, I'll be taking you back to a time before history, before the stories of our modern world were written. Back to the land of Atlantis. To the moment emissaries of love, hear the thunder. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna cry. The emissaries of love are here. Oh my gosh, listen to that. I hope you can hear the thunder. It's time to tell our story. Oh my god. Okay. So we're going back to a time, to the moment in which emissaries of love, Pleiadian women, stepped into the land, carrying codes of harmony, balance, and of the divine union between masculine and feminine. Together, we'll step into the heart of a love story that transcends lifetimes. A love that defied the fall of a great civilization. A love that echoes still, finding its way back to the present. This, my friend, is my story, and yet it might be yours too. Now, before we do dive a little bit deeper into the actual story, I do want to say that this is going deep. I retrieved a lot of memories and have weaved everything that I remember into a story that can trigger a lot of emotions within you. So if you at any point feel like it's too much, or like there's too much energy, definitely pause it, save it to your favorites, and come back at another time when you feel more grounded. If you do proceed and listen to my story, I recommend that you have some warm tea, or just grab some water so you can stay hydrated. And something that I'm pretty sure you know is that water has memory. And right now I am sending all my memories into that water so that you can resonate, so you can find the ones that resonate with you and go back to your own story in Atlantis, in the Pleiades, across space-time. So, yes, let's dive in. Before Atlantis became a story of tragedy, of loss, of severance from the divine, it was something entirely different. It was a beacon, a dream made manifest, a place where the wisdom of the cosmos touched the earth, where the fabric of reality shimmered with harmony. And I'm gonna pause. What I feel inspired to share with you is that if the term emissaries of love or the Pleiades awakens something within you, something to ground this energy is to touch your body. Right now, my hands are underneath the table or the desk because I'm touching my legs. It's helping me ground my energy and this aspect of me. So just putting this out there in case it helps you as well. In the earliest days, Atlantis was a reflection of the divine mind, a civilization sculpted with precision and grace, where knowledge was not separate from love and power was not separate from wisdom. The land itself pulsed with energy, crystalline veins running deep beneath the surface, connecting its people to the heart of the planet and to the stars above. The Atlanteans understood creation in ways that now feel like a myth. They were architects of energy, wielders of sound and light, capable of shaping reality with intention alone. They built with resonance, designed with harmony, infused every structure with purpose, and for a time, they flourished. But even the brightest light cast a shadow. The fall of Atlantis did not happen overnight. It began as a whisper, a slow forgetting, a shift so subtle that few recognized it for what it was. And when the distortion took root, when the balance began to slip, the elders knew help would be needed. Long before Atlantis, there was Lemuria, a land of harmony, a civilization in deep communion with the earth and the cosmic currents of creation. The Lemurians lived as one with the land, attuned to the rhythms of the planet. They carried the wisdom of the ancients, of the stars, and of the great cosmic mother. Lemurians understood the power of frequency. Their temples hummed with the songs of creation, their voices weaving light into form. The crystalline waters of their land held memory, records of civilizations past and future, waiting for the right souls to listen. But Lemuria was not meant to last forever. No, it was a dream, a golden age, meant to be lived and then released. When the tides began to rise and the land fell beneath the waves, its people did not see it as destruction, but as transformation. Many chose to leave, returning to the stars. Others, the keepers of wisdom, carried the sacred codes of Lemuria to the places that would come next. One of these places was Atlantis. Atlantis was not merely a civilization, it was a response to the call of the earth, to the evolution of humanity. While Lemuria had been fluid, intuitive, and heart-centered, Atlantis was the next step. A civilization where spirit and intellect could merge. The Lemurian priestesses and wisdom keepers carried their knowledge into Atlantis, planting the seeds of harmony and balance. For a time, these two civilizations coexisted, their energies flowing in tandem. Lemuria was the mother, Atlantis the child, working its way to becoming the father. One holding the past, the other shaping the future. From the moment it was conceived, Atlantis was designed as a bridge, a sacred meeting point between Earth and the cosmos, between the seen and the unseen, between the wisdom of the ancients and the unfolding destiny of this planet. It was a blueprint for what humanity could become. The Atlanteans lived in harmony with the elements, understanding the language of water, fire, air, and earth. They worked with crystalline technology, amplifying their consciousness through the wisdom encoded in the stones. The great pyramids and temples were not merely places of worship, but conductors of energy, aligned to the stars, pulsing with the heartbeat of creation. The masculine and feminine existed in perfect balance, two forces in divine communion. The priestesses held the sacred knowledge of creation, keepers of the mysteries of life, while the philosophers and scientists sought to expand the boundaries of what was possible. Together, they formed a civilization that thrived in unity. Atlantis was not built on conquest. It was built on remembrance. But remembrance is fragile. And slowly, the distortions crept in. The mind began to seek dominion over the heart. The masculine, once in balance, began to crave control. The priestesses, the keepers of the sacred feminine, were questioned, then silenced. Technology, once wielded as an extension of nature, became a tool for power. And Atlantis began to shift. For a time, Atlantis thrived. The wisdom of Lemuria still pulsed beneath the surface, held in the crystalline structures in the waters that remembered. The Atlanteans lived in harmony with the earth's energy, harnessing the power of sound, light, and sacred geometry to create, heal, and expand their consciousness. The temples were vibrant with life. Priestesses weaving light into the ether, healers working with crystalline frequencies, architects designing structures that harmonized with the planet's ley lines. The masculine and feminine danced in harmony, each honoring the other's role in creation. But cycles turn. Balance shifts. A slow but undeniable change took root in the heart of Atlantis. It began as curiosity, as an exploration of knowledge, of pushing the limits of what was possible. Technology advanced rapidly, and with it came the allure of power. The desire to shape reality became a desire to control it. The wisdom of the Lemurian priestesses, once revered, began to be questioned by those who sought knowledge without devotion to the sacred. The intuitive, heart-centered ways of creation were replaced with logic, with calculations, with the pursuit of mastery over the natural world. Some among the Atlanteans began to separate themselves from the rhythms of the planet, no longer listening to the whispers of the earth. Instead, they turned their gaze outward to the stars, to the cosmic forces they believed could elevate them beyond the confines of the material plane. Not all saw this as a fall. To many it was progress. And yet those who still carried the ancient wisdom, those who remembered the fall of Lemuria, felt a shift in their bones. They knew that once a civilization turned away from the sacred balance, it set itself on a path of forgetting. The priestesses and wisdom keepers watched as the temples of light became temples of power. Once living waters growing heavy with misuse, and the crystalline grids so carefully woven with the codes of harmony, fragmenting under the weight of manipulation. Some spoke out, some warned of what was to come, but their voices grew fainter against the rising tide. Let's now bring the past into the present by stepping into the memory of what was. Atlantean priests and priestesses gather in a sacred temple, their voices merging in harmonic resonance, reaching beyond the veil, hands resting on luminous crystals, eyes closed in silent prayer, hearts attuned to the cosmic currents. They know They feel it. The balance is slipping. The mind had begun to seek dominion over the heart. The harmony that once pulsed through Atlantis like a living current was fraying, unraveling thread by thread. And so they did the only thing they could. They called for help. Atlantean priest. Do they not see? Do they not feel it? The land trembles beneath our feet. The waters stir with unrest. We are not what we once were. Atlantean priestess. They believe they are reaching a new pinnacle, but they do not hear the earth's cry. The crystals dim. The temples grow silent. The mother withdraws her song. Atlantean priest. Atlantis is slipping into the hands of those who see only power, knowledge without wisdom, creation without heart. If we do nothing, all will be lost. Leaders of Atlantis refuse to acknowledge the cracks forming beneath their feet, and elders know. The advancements, the technology, the growing power, everything, it's intoxicating. To them, Atlantis is at its peak, the culmination of everything they have built. And so the elders gather in secret. They do not call upon the rulers, for they cannot see. Instead, they send their voices to the stars, to those who have watched over the earth since the beginning. A plea woven in light and sound. Come. The balance is breaking. The heart of Atlantis is fading. We need those who remember. And the stars heard them. The Pleiadians felt it first. They have long guided Earth from afar, whispering wisdom into the dreams of those who would listen. But this time it was different. This time they are being asked to step in. Others hear it too. The Syrians, the Lyrians, the Arcturians. But it is the Pleiadians who answered the call. For they carry the codes of love, the memory of what is now being forgotten. And among them is me. I remember the moment I felt it. A ripple in the great tapestry. A call that is not just sound, but feeling, a knowing. Atlantis is fading. And I knew I would go. I am not alone. There are many of us, emissaries of love, who have answered Earth's call before. But this time, we do not remain on the edges, whispering from the stars. No. This time, we step into Atlantis itself. Not as rulers, not as warriors, not as saviors, but as lovers. And those who can remind them of what they have forgotten. We do not come with weapons. We come with open hearts. Who are the emissaries of love? I can sense your thoughts of wonder. They were not rulers, not warriors, not conquerors. They were the bridge between heaven and earth, carrying the remembrance of divine union. The Pleiades had long been a sanctuary of love, a realm where the sacred dance of masculine and feminine remained unbroken. And from this lineage of harmony, the emissaries were born. We are beings of light, of resonance. Our home is the Pleiades, but our origin is woven throughout the stars. We carry within us the ancient codes of creation, codes that were seeded into the very heart of this universe, long before Earth was even born. We have seen civilizations rise and fall, worlds bloom and wither, but one truth remains. Love is the thread that ties everything together. The emissaries of love were not chosen to set foot in Atlantis for their power, but for their hearts, for their ability to hold love so fully that it could not be forgotten, even in the densest of realities. Their presence alone was an offering, a song without words, a frequency that could awaken what had been lost. They had come to Earth before, to Lemuria, where they wove their wisdom into the waters, the crystals, the land itself. But Atlantis was different. It was not a land that needed tending, but a civilization that needed reminding. Their mission was not to teach, not to impose, but to be. To walk among the Atlanteans as living embodiments of the love they had begun to forget. And so, when the call came, they answered. Now let us return to the present moment of this memory. The descent is beginning. The Pleiadian women step forward, their hearts steady, their souls unwavering. They know what awaits them. Some will be received with reverence, others will be met with resistance. But all of them know, beyond doubt, that this is why they came. And I feel it too. I take one last breath of the stars, knowing that when I open my eyes again, I will be standing upon the land of Atlantis. The air feels different now. We have crossed the threshold. No longer are we starlight. No longer are we pure vibration. We are descending. Our feet will soon touch the earth, and with it, we take on the weight of a world in need. I see it. Atlantis. It rises before us like a dream made real. A shimmering city glowing with an intensity that mirrors the stars themselves. The temples, the crystal towers, the grand halls where knowledge was once shared freely. But there is a shadow upon it now. I see dense fog in the horizon. I feel it in the stillness, in the thickening air. A silence that has settled over the land like dust. The cries of the earth are muffled. The pulse of the planet faint. As we descend, I hear the voices of my sisters. Our thoughts interwoven, resonating as one. There's no need for words between us. We know what awaits. Some of us are filled with peace, knowing we are bringing the memory of love, the light of the Pleiades, to a place that has forgotten its soul. Others tremble with uncertainty, knowing the resistance we will face. Then there are those who fear the power of the minds that have turned from the heart. But none of us falter. No. Our feet touch the earth. I stand upon the soil of Atlantis, in an outdoor temple, wearing a shimmery silver bodysuit that is almost translucent. My hair is long and soft, golden. Feet are bare. The ground is warm beneath, familiar, and yet there is a coldness in the air, an energy that feels fractured. ungrounded. The land itself seems to ache, waiting for something, waiting for us. And we are not alone here. No, the Atlanteans have felt us approach. The energy is stirring. Oh, I can feel it. Some will greet us with open arms, I know. Others with suspicion. Yeah, sure. They don't know who we are, but they feel the shift, the pulse we bring. They can hear our song. I step forward, feeling the weight of this moment in every fiber, in every fiber of my now grounded body. Yes, the world before me, so grand, so beautiful, is now a place of deep longing. It is a city that pulses with untapped potential, but one that has been dulled, like a crystal that has lost its shine. The walls, once alive with vibrant energy, now seem muted. I hear footsteps, murmuring, and one by one they approach, like shadows emerging from the mist. A man, tall, dressed in white and silver garments, of a well-positioned leader. His expression one of awe and suspicion. His beautiful blue eyes meet mine, and for a moment the world stands still. Everyone but him disappear. There is something ancient in his gaze, something familiar, as though he has known me, or perhaps he remembers something deeper, has long been forgotten. He bows slightly with his right hand placed in his chest, and as he rises up again, his hands rise with him, a gesture of respect and surrender. You are them, he says, voice thick with emotion. You have come. His words are not a question, but recognition, remembrance. I do not answer right away. I allow the space for the recognition to sink in. In my silence, I feel the ripples of memory stirring within him, within me. The memory of love, of something that has been lost. I do not know how to welcome you, he continues, his voice trembling. We have been waiting, but we did not know what we waited for. I reached out gently, touching his right arm. His skin is warm, but his energy is tight, guarded. He's afraid. You do not need to know, I reply softly. Just feel. He looks at me, searching, seeking something. Perhaps answers, perhaps solace. Perhaps the peace he feels in this moment is enough. I see his breath catch as if a wave of recognition crashes through him. His shoulders soften. A tear slips down his cheek. In his heart, he knows who we are. His soul remembers. He bows his head, no longer in doubt. He has seen what we carry, what we are. A deep peace settles in the air between us, and then others begin to gather. A woman approaches, her eyes wide, her hands trembling. She doesn't speak. Her presence speaks louder than words could ever do. She is filled with a silent yearning. Her gaze flickers between my sisters and I, her heart drawn to us like a moth to a flame. heard stories of you," she whispers, almost to herself. But I did not believe. Her words trail off as if uncertain, and yet in her eyes I see it. She is searching for what has been lost, and she too can feel the stirrings of something forgotten. One by one they come, Atlanteans who are drawn to us, to the light we carry. Some approach with open arms. Others stand back, uncertain, their minds clouded in doubts. We are not what they expected. We are not saviors. We don't carry weapons or promise of power. We only bring love. Some will never understand, but to the ones who remember, our presence is enough. They feel the shift, the opening. In us they are reminded of what has always been true. Love is the foundation, the spark, the beginning and the end of all things. The city, the land begins to stir. It is not a dramatic change, but it is a shift nonetheless. I feel the earth beneath me sigh, as if waking from a long slumber. The energy that once pulsed here begins to hum again. Gently, softly, like the first stirrings of spring. I walk among them now, our footsteps quiet but certain. We don't speak the grand words they expect. We do not preach. We are the love they have forgotten. I can feel it now. The pulse of the land, the heartbeat of Atlantis. It is faint, but it is there. It is calling for us, for the memory of love to return. This is only the beginning. The days pass in a quiet unraveling. Collectives that once stood apart, now reuniting to resuscitate the heart of Atlantis. The emissaries of love, daughters of the Seven Sisters, are no longer just visitors. They are one with Atlantis and its people. The emissary speaks on her life in Atlantis. We are not here to rule. We are not here to teach as if we stand above anyone. We are here to remember with them, to awaken what has been buried beneath the weight of forgotten truths. Our work begins in the sacred halls, temples of light and wisdom where once the mysteries of the cosmos were honored. The priests and priestesses gather, watching, listening. They sense the harmony we bring, the remembrance of an age before separation. We do not force the remembrance. It unfolds like the petals of a flower, opening with the touch of the sun. Some of us work with the crystals, whispering to them the songs of Lemuria, reviving their dormant codes. Lemuria is daughter of Pleiades. We are one and the same. And what is required now is the harmonization of polarities within this planet. Atlantis and Lemuria. Two frequencies must return to balance. Emissaries weave with sound, bringing the resonance of home into the great chambers, tuning the frequencies of Atlantis back to the rhythm of love. We walk among the people, hands upon our hearts, eyes gazing into souls that ache for something they cannot name. And then there are the unions. The emissaries and Atlantean leaders, priests, visionaries, the ones who remember, we were always meant to find each other again. We were not strangers in this meeting. We were the echo of a promise made beyond time, written in the stars before we ever stepped foot on this world. Love was the key, the bridge, the way home. One by one, we met. Some knew instantly, eyes looking across crowded halls, memories flashing through the veil. Others took time, unraveling the recognition through whispers in the night, through hands brushing against each other, through the steady pull of something that could not be denied. We were paired not by tradition, but by resonance. Yeah, heart to heart, soul to soul. Each union a thread in the great weaving. Each love a pillar anchoring the new dawn. My beloved Aurenis. My rock, my protector, my equal. The moment my feet touched the sacred ground of Atlantis, he was there, waiting. He stood beneath the open sky, a man carved by time and memory, the keeper of something I had longed without knowing. When our eyes first met, the world stopped. In that instant, I was home. He had been waiting for me, not with impatience, not with longing that burned, but with the steady knowing of one who remembers. Aurenis was not just a man of Atlantis. He was a guardian of its wisdom, a protector of the ancient ways. He moved through the corridors of power, not in dominance, but with grace. A priest, a scholar, a leader who led not with force, but with the quiet authority of one who listens to the land. He was everything to me. Supported me in ways that words could not contain. Not as a man protecting a woman, but as one soul standing beside another, holding space for the fullness of who I was. When I worked with the crystals, he was there, his presence, grounding me as I channeled the songs of Lemuria and Pleiades. When I sung the frequencies of home into the sacred temples and great halls, he listened, his heart attuned to the same melody. When doubt crept in, when I wondered if we had come too late, he reminded me, love does not fail. Love does not end. Our love was not new. It was ancient, woven through lifetimes, spanning beyond Atlantis, beyond Earth itself. We had been here before, in other stars, in other worlds, and now, here we stood once more, at the precipice of something greater than ourselves. But not everyone understood. Some saw our union as disruption, some feared the change we carried, the shifting of power, the dissolving of structures that had once ruled through mind alone. To them, love was chaos. Love was surrender. Love was a force they could not control. But love does not ask for permission. Love simply is. And so the great weaving continued. Through touch, through remembrance, through the steady, unwavering presence of those who had not forgotten. Atlantis was stirring. The pulse of the land, once faint, was growing stronger. However, the question remained. Would the heart of Atlantis awaken in time? Or have we come too late? We lived in the shadows of a world that no longer knew how to embrace love. Aurenis and I were never seen together after the beginning stages of our passage through Atlantis. He was a leader bound by duty, by the weight of the Atlantean name, by the eyes of those who feared the return to the heart. And I was a whisper, a presence hidden within the folds of the land, moving between temples, between sacred spaces where love still dared to bloom. We had to start meeting in secret, in dimly lit sanctuaries, where the air was thick with the scent of wildflowers and the hum of crystalline energy. There we spoke in the language of remembrance. We made love. We became one, again and again, harmonizing our heartbeat with the earth's own. Our love wasn't just for us. It was for the land, for the people, And in a world where love was slipping into memory, to love was an act of rebellion. There were those who had long severed their connection to the pulse of the land, who no longer heard the voice of the waters, nor felt the whisper of the wind. They clung to power, to mind alone, to the illusion that force could uphold what was already crumbling. And they were not alone. Others had come. Beings from distant stars drawn by the unfolding fate of Atlantis. Some, like us, carried the remembrance of love, but others saw the opportunity in the growing divide. The Orions, the Draconians, the ancient ones who had long since abandoned the heart's knowing. They stood beside the Atlantean rulers, whispering of great control, of expansion beyond what had ever been known. The Martians came seeking refuge. Their planet had suffered devastation, whether by their own doing or by forces beyond their control. No one could say for certain. But their presence in Atlantis was not merely that of wearied travelers in search of a new home. They came with an agenda. At first, they observed, studying the intricate balance between Atlantis and the Earth. They saw the connection the Atlanteans once had with the land, the harmony between the seen and unseen forces, but they also saw the fractures forming. The leaders had begun to favor mind over heart, force over flow, and they took their opportunity. Through whispers in the halls of power, the Martians wove themselves into the fabric of Atlantean leadership. Some leaders, already losing their bond with the land, welcomed their influence. They saw the Martians as means to solidify their control, to propel Atlantis into an age of supremacy beyond Earth's natural laws. But not all of them came with ill intent. Some Martians remembered their own world before its fall. They too had once lived in harmony with their land. And just as there were emissaries of love in Atlantis, there were those among the Martians who mourned what was being lost. They saw the same path unfolding, the same hunger for power that had once led to their own destruction. One day, I was sitting by the water, the waves lapping at the shore. As the weight of all that had been and all that was yet to come settled deep within me, there was still so much love to be seeded, yet the land trembled beneath our feet. To my right, a figure appeared, a Martian emissary. Not a being seeking control, but a messenger of wisdom. He spoke of his people's struggles, of the war that had ended their world as they had known it. He told me of those who had survived, not in conquest, but in retreat, choosing to live in the quiet depths of underground cities and tunnels where love still endured. He carried with him blueprints, a gift of remembrance, the knowledge of how to preserve life when a world is lost. I arranged a meeting with Aurenis. This knowledge was not mine to hold alone. The meeting took place, and soon after, the weaving began. We could not stop what was coming, but we could choose how to face it. The Martian emissary's words had confirmed what we already knew. Atlantis was slipping beyond saving, but wisdom, remembrance, and love could not be allowed to vanish with it. So, we turned to the crystals. One by one, we wove our knowing, our history, our love into their essence, encoding them with the story of all that had been. And one by one, we carried them beyond the city, beyond the temples, beyond Atlantis itself, placing them in the hands of the earth, where they would wait until the time of remembering began again. The crystals were massive, 10 feet tall, perhaps more, standing like sentinels in the sacred spaces of Atlantis. The emissaries, the Atlantean priests and priestesses, gathered in specific points across the land, attuning to the collective grid, the mind of Atlantis itself. We all became pure channels of its frequency. Through touch, through the silent current of intention, we wove all that we could access into the crystalline archives. No words were spoken, only presence. Men and women sat in sacred circles, aligned in resonance, each group weaving their own essence into the stone. The men wove sacred geometry, symbols of precision and knowledge, while the women channeled the raw, undiluted energy of the heart. Through this merging, a perfect balance was encoded. The crystals responded, illuminating within, humming with tones only our souls could recognize. And when the resonance shifted, when the crystals itself signaled completion with a harmonic vibration, we moved to the next. The placement of the crystals was not random. The locations were chosen with great care, guided by ley lines of the earth, by unseen threads that connected the planet to stars. Each crystal was sent to a place that resonated with the frequency of Atlantis, a place where the records could one day be awakened. Egypt, the lands that would become the Americas, places where pyramids now lay, places of untapped potential. Some were moved physically, aided by celestial collectives. Others, those attuned to the fifth dimension, simply vanished, reappearing where they were meant to be. In the end, it wasn't merely a dispersal, it was preservation, a promise to the future, a tether of remembrance waiting to be pulled. With the crystals now in place, there was nothing left to do. So we simply waited. Aurenis and I cherished each other and those around us. We would go to the water to see our reflections. We knew we would not see ourselves again in this form. He would not see me, and neither would I see him. This knowing was devastating. For the first time in my time spent in Atlantis, my heart's light dimmed. I had known the inevitable would happen to the land, but I had been so focused on loving it, on loving its people, its essence, that I had bypassed my own emotions, my own feelings, my own love for Aurenis. And when everything was done, when everything was ready for the inevitable, I crumbled. I finally thought about us, about our lives, the love we wove, the moments we spent in silence, the moments we spent in each other's arms. This mission was bigger than the two of us, and yes, for a moment, I resented that. I resented that I could not simply love him as a woman loves a man without the weight of worlds pressing upon us. We couldn't just simply be. We cried together. We stared into each other's eyes for hours, days in silence, gently touching the other's face, memorizing the way our bodies felt, the way our souls intertwined in a way that was deeper than touch. We knew our love would endure, but the ability to hold each other in the way we did now would be forever lost. Aurenis had already made his decision. He would stay behind with the Atlantean people. He had been their leader, one of them, and felt that much of what was happening was his responsibility to bear. He would remain for as long as Atlantis stood. I wanted to stay. I was going to stay. But it was never meant to be this way. I was never meant to remain in Atlantis permanently. I had come for a purpose, and once that purpose was fulfilled, I was to return to the Pleiades. Yet my love for Aurenis was too vast, too consuming. Imagine all the love of the Pleiades gathered into a single point, directed entirely towards one being. That is how immense my love for him is. I begged him. I pleaded. Let me stay. I choose you. I choose us. He took my hands in his, gently but firmly. His gaze was unwavering, filled with sorrow, filled with love. If you stay, you will forget. Then let me forget, I whispered. I would rather forget and be with you than leave and remember. His expression softened, but he did not waver. This much love cannot be forgotten. And even though it shattered me, I knew he was right. My love was a direct extension of the Pleiades, and she was meant to rise, always, not dim, not die, not be lost in the void. And then the day came. The inevitable arrived. Atlantis was unraveling, wars both physical and mental. The earth began shaking, the waters receded, and we knew. Extraterrestrial collectives arrived to harvest those who had kept a vibration that could weave into other worlds and underground cities. Celestial collectives also arrived, not to harvest physical beings, but to facilitate the process of death, the transition into what they referred to as the void. These were not people who would ascend to another dimension or to relocate to other worlds. Those who had not kept their vibration high and stable stepped into complete forgetfulness. In the midst of chaos, Aurenis and I walked to an open space by the city. From here we could see everything, what was beneath us, beyond us. We were high up, not on a bridge, but within a structure that connected to the city and mountains. From this vantage point, we could see the sprawling city, the ocean, and the space where the ships were arriving, waiting to take those who were leaving to other star systems and underground cities. We stood there, watching as Atlantis slowly fell. By this time we were at peace. We had surrendered to what was. I clung to Aurenis as if I could hold time still with my embrace. I did not want to let go. A Pleiadian brother arrived then. He stood beside us and spoke gently. It's time. The land was still shaking, but this was not the final collapse. Not yet. Atlantis would crumble, piece by piece, and we had to leave before the window closed. My Pleiadian brother left to give us one last moment, one last embrace. And we did. We embraced one last time. I could feel Aurenis trembling against me. He had always been the strong one, the unshakable one. But here, now, he could not stop the tears from falling. Please, I whispered. Please let me stay. He cupped my face in his hands, his thumb tracing the path of my tears. You must go. His voice broke. You must carry our love beyond this place. You must remember. I held on to him, my forehead pressed to his chin. Then promise me. Promise me we will find each other again. Promise me that one day you will remember too. He nodded, our breaths mingling as if they could weave our souls together one last time. Until we meet again. Tears blurred my vision, and I replied, until we meet again. I love you, we whispered in unison. One last embrace, one last kiss, and I left. I walked onto the ship, but I did not feel my body moving. I could still see him as the doors closed and as the engines hummed to life. And then I shattered. I became a child again, small and lost. I was completely broken. This was the moment my soul fragmented. I lost everything. The journey back to the Pleiades felt like a dream, distant and unreal. My body was there, but my heart remained behind, shattered among the ruins of Atlantis. I was never the same. The moment I arrived, I was surrounded, embraced by my soul family, my brothers and sisters who had been waiting, watching. They welcomed us with open arms and hearts, grieving with us. In the beginning, I barely spoke. My being had entered a state of shock. I moved through life as if underwater, drifting, weightless, but burdened. I spent most of my time in the sacred temples, places that mirrored Atlantis with the crystalline structures and flowing waters. But even in their beauty, I could not find myself. I would stare at my reflection in the water, seeing a stranger. My beloved was gone. My heart was gone. Not one day passed in that first lifetime back that I didn't remember Aurenis, that I didn't feel the weight of his absence pressing against my chest. I tried to let go. I tried to return to the purity of the Pleiades, but it was impossible. The loss was too deep. So I did what I knew. I surrendered to the cycles, allowing myself to be reborn again and again as child, as elder, until one day I could feel whole again. I was never alone in the Pleiades. I had mentors, elders who guided me through the pain. Callan, wise and steady, and Aurelian, who would sit with me as a child, telling stories to help me remember my core essence. They reminded me of who I was beneath the grief. And then there was him, my Pleiadian counterpart, the one who would, in time, help ground my love again. At first, I resisted. How could I open my heart to another? But love, in its patience, waited for me to be ready. And eventually I was. I honored Aurenis in every lifetime. I held on to his memory, replaying it through the devices we had, technologies that allowed us to relive moments, to see faces and hear voices as if they were still there. I carried him with me through every rebirth, never forgetting, like I promised. And over time, the pain softened. I could think of Earth and Atlantis without crumbling. But then, one day, once again, something shifted. A meeting was called. A gathering of celestial and interstellar beings, emissaries and elders, all speaking of Earth and its descent. We had watched from afar unable to intervene. But now something had to change. Ashtar stood at the center, his presence commanding but gentle. His gaze found mine, steady, knowing. "It is time," he said. "You must return." I shook my head before he even finished speaking, saying, "No, I'm not ready." I knew this moment would come, and still there was hesitation, fear. Ashtar stood there for a few moments, waiting patiently, giving me the space to feel everything: fear, grief, longing. We were not alone in this room. Councils had gathered voices from many worlds, and yet in this moment, it was just him and I. "You are ready. That's why you fear it. We cannot allow another fall," Ashtar said after the pause. "The cycles repeat because there are too few who remember, too few who return with open hearts and steady hands. You remember. You have always remembered." My fingers tightened into fists as I whispered, "I am tired. I've given everything. I have loved, I have lost, I have walked through lifetimes trying to mend what was broken." Ashtar then leaned forward, speaking softly. "You have mended, but you have not yet rebuilt. And this is why you must go back. Not just for the earth, but for yourself." He takes a step forward, leaning farther, saying firmly, "You are the bridge, little one. You do not carry ruins within you. You carry the blueprint, the dream of what was and what can be again. But it's not Atlantis you must rebuild. It is love, and you are ready." I turned away, my hands trembling, feeling the weight of his words. The memories threatened to pull me under. Atlantis, the fall, Aurenis, the moment he told me to leave. I wasn't sure I could do it again. But then I felt another presence beside me. Familiar, warm. My Pleiadian counterpart. He didn't speak at first. He simply placed a hand over my heart, and I felt it. My own love, still alive beneath the fear. I then took a deep breath. Looked directly into Ashtar's eyes, and with full acceptance said, "Okay, I'll go." And Ashtar nodded. "You will not go alone." My beloved Shatke, standing next to me, watching, waiting, his hands found mine as he whispered, "Where you go, I go." My Shatke remained in the Pleiades, but his love traveled with me. Always. The Pleiades did not send me back all at once to Earth. It was known that I had to ease into its density. So gently I was placed into a lifetime in the ancient lands of what is now Peru. A place teeming with Lemurian memory, with crystals and records of the past. Here I walked barefoot, on sacred ground, letting the earth welcome me back in her own way. The elders guided me, the elements nurtured me, and slowly I remembered the feeling of home. Not just in the Pleiades, but here, on this planet. One lifetime. That's all it took for me to be ready, to step fully into human form. to return not as the broken remnant of an Atlantean past, but as the embodiment of love that endures, that rebuilds, the love that never truly left. And so, the memories begin returning. The memories began resurfacing years ago, but I didn't dive into them then. Perhaps I was not ready, or perhaps the time just wasn't it. But one memory lingered. The face of Aurenis. His beautiful eyes. The way he looked at me as we sat at a table among others. To him, no one else existed but me. And to me, it was only him. That memory awakened a longing within me so deep, it became woven into my very existence. My entire life, I searched for love, for that gaze, for that knowing. I didn't realize I was searching for him, for what had been lost in Atlantis. The memories intensified after I met him again in this lifetime. Slowly, Atlantis began pulling at me. And a few months ago, in late 2024, I couldn't escape it. It was too real. The past had become the present, and the echoes of love, loss, and remembrance surged forward like waves crashing against the shore. I searched for him my entire life without knowing it. Always searching. And yet, deep within me, I felt as though I was already taken, already bound to someone I could not name, could not find. The longing was an ache that never ceased. The land here, the forest, the crystals beneath my feet, they held me. They knew me. Though I was born in Mexico, my path led me here to Arkansas, where the earth remembers. The crystals whisper, and when I walk among the trees, I feel them grounding me, cradling me. It was here that I first knew love, and it was here that I found him again. Our story was already written, the threads woven long before we were ever born. Then came the day in the forest, the day the emissary of love stepped fully into my body. I had lost love once again. The weight of it crushed me, and the only place that could hold me was the forest. I walked to the water, seeking solace, and as I did, she came. She stepped into me, and I became her. For a time, I saw the world through her eyes, eyes that had once seen Atlantis in all its splendor, and now saw only ruins. She was shattered, grieving not just for the past, but for the present that mirrored it. She looked at the water, at the rocks and debris, and whispered, "What happened?" Atlantis was gone. Then came the question that changed everything. How can we rebuild? It was in that moment that we understood. The only way to rebuild was through love. We had reunited to bring it back to life, to heal what had been broken, to restore what had been lost. And so, I came to understand that I am more than Miroslava. I am all that I have been, all that I am becoming. I have lived many lives, walked many worlds, and in this moment, I carry them all. The mission is clear: to love without bounds, to embody the truth that love never dies. For lifetimes, I believed that loss was all I knew, that love was fleeting, that it slipped through my fingers like water. But now I see the truth. Love is infinite, boundless. Love is God. It is everything. It transcends time and space. It was never lost, only hidden beneath my fear. And now I choose love, not as fate, but as creation, as the act of rebuilding, as the boundless becoming of all that I am meant to be. This is my story, a story of love, of Atlantis and its echoes, of a longing so deep it spanned lifetimes. Atlantis was never just a place. It was a dream, a promise, a sacred bond between souls. And when it fell, it was not only the land that was lost, but the belief that love could endure. I carried that loss for lifetimes, mistaking its weight for truth. But now I see, love was never broken, only buried beneath grief. Rebuilding Atlantis is not about returning to what was. It is about remembering what has always been. Love is not a relic of the past, it is the foundation of the future. And so I choose to build again. Not from the ruins of Atlantis, but from the infinite well of love that has carried me here. Because love is never truly lost. It is waiting, always, to be found again. Thank you so much, my friend, for joining me on this journey through time, for listening, for remembering. This story is mine, but in many ways it is also yours. Love, loss, and the journey home. These are the threads that weave us together. I am honored to share this with you, and I hope it stirs something within your heart. May you find a love that was never truly lost, and may you remember that you too are part of the great becoming. Now, if you resonated with this story, please share and follow across all platforms. Your support means the world. Every like, every comment, every follow amplifies the reach of these ancient memories. And if you would like to support my storytelling even farther, the links where you can do so, make a donation, are going to be linked in the description box. Your support goes directly to building this podcast, to making content and sharing stories that go deep, that bring the past into the present moment. And sometimes we'll dive into the future, bring it all into the now. Now stay tuned for future episodes. There's a lot more storytelling episodes coming into the podcast. I have, for example, the Breath of God, the Great Wars of Lyra, the Draconian Truth, and the full story of Mars as told by the Emissary that met me in Atlantis. That is such a wonderful story about love as well. You know, Mars is known for being about anger and wars and, battles and fighting and frustration. But there's a deeper layer, a deeper meaning of love. And I'm so excited to bring that to you. So yeah, definitely subscribe, follow, and also I'm going to leave a link to my newsletter so you can join. And I'll be sharing just behind the scenes things that I am doing, and even just anything that comes up as I am weaving these stories, raw messages and downloads and memories. So definitely check out all the links in the description box. So thank you so much again, my friend, for staying with me, for making it this far into this journey back to Atlantis and back to the present, where Atlantis is being rebuilt right now. I invite you to, if it's possible for you to right now, close your eyes, take a deep breath with me. Inhale all the love. Inhale all the love. And then pause to feel the frequency of love activating your physical vessel, your body, your heart, your chakras and release. Just exhale. Release all that love into existence. And so it is. Until next time, my friend.